Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Berlin Select Board meeting for Tuesday, December 27th. It is 6 a.m. and so I'm going to call this meeting to order. PM, right? 6 p.m. We'll remind folks that the meetings for the Berlin Select Board are generally recorded for the transmission on both the Berlin Cable Access Channel, YouTube channel. Your voice, your image, and your telephone number may be recorded. So let's start off quickly with the approval of minutes of December 19th.
Did we have minutes? I didn't even see them in the folder.
I was gonna say, I don't think I remember seeing them. I looked a couple days ago. We don't have minutes, we can pass over that.
Mary,
They weren't maybe not put into that folder. But if they weren't, why don't you pass over it until the 9th?
Sure, we'll pass over it then. Kristen, is there any correspondence worthy of tonight's meeting?
I do not have anything at this time.
Officially of general, is there any general public comment? People will need to raise their hands, which I can't see. So I'm gonna, Kristen, if you and Mary would let me know if anyone raises their hands.
June is our sole audience member right now, and she's hopefully taking a nap. So no hands up from June.
And so that brings us to the reason for tonight's meeting then. Under new business, the potential new Berlin fire EMS chief. And he is not currently in the audience?
Not yet.
He is not yet, but he is confirmed. So I don't know if he's having a bit of an issue getting on the meeting.
So Kristen, I'm just gonna bounce off for a minute and see if I can place a call to him to make sure he's not having technical problems here. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you. So that's Brian Duggan from MRI, who did our recruitment for us. So if we could just hold, or
Kristen, while we're holding a moment, I know you went over this at our last meeting, but if you want to just, for the public's sake who are about to watch this, the process we went through to get to where we are today.
Sure, absolutely. So MRI did a broad, advertisement for this position and received 7 candidates. There were a couple that did not meet the qualifications, and that left us with about 3 candidates that did. The MRI, Brian Duggan, who was our lead on this project, also did some direct recruitment out to chiefs as well, since the pool was a little bit smaller than anticipated for the applicants. And he did believe that and received feedback that was due to the salary range. So he did some direct recruitment out. We ended up with a total of 4 final candidates, which Brian did a pre-screening of everybody, narrowed it down to 4. Then Brian and I did interviews and scoring with each of the candidates. And that was approximately 2 weeks ago, I believe, on the 14th that we did that. And what our goal was to narrow it down to the top 2. But what we ended up having was one extremely standout candidate that really had the full range of experience, education, and skill set that we were looking for. And that gentleman is just appeared in our audience here. So I'd like to bring forward my recommended candidate as well as Brian's. That would be Mike McQuillan, and I'll give him a little bit of an introduction. Give him a moment to get on here. There's Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, the computer kind of kicked me off for a second there as it made me a panelist.
No problem. I was just giving a little bit of background on the search process that we went through. Mike McQuillan is a current fire chief and paramedic with approximately 30 years of experience in the fire service. He comes with degrees in fire science and public service management and is currently working on a master's in emergency management. He is relocating to the area. And based on the interviews, which were conducted by Brian and myself, he did score significantly higher than the other candidates, had the best combination of experience, education, and was clearly the standout candidate. So the board, we did meet in an executive session and had a conversation, and the move was to move forward with Mike and bring him here this evening to meet you all, answer any questions you may have, and vote on the recommendation. So Mike is here, and I don't know, Mike, if you want to give a little bit more background than I already did, or Scott, if you want me to turn it over to you, however you'd like to proceed.
No, Mike, I'll pick it up from there.
Well, thank you. I think Kristen did a good job of introducing me and my background. I'm happy to answer any questions to further explain that, but I'm excited and looking forward to the opportunity of serving the community and the residents of Berlin. As Kristen kind of mentioned, I have family down in the area in Massachusetts. It brings me closer to my granddaughter, which is, to be honest with you, my wife's favorite part of this. And the area is beautiful. We've driven through Berlin, and am really looking forward to being part of the community and being part of the team down there.
Great. I'm not at a point where I can see all the panelists, but Chris, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to make some comments, maybe just that the fact that there are so many things in your resume, Mike, that really hit the spot for Berlin. And I especially like the fact that you have done some succession planning in Littleton. I think all of us would agree that that's important if it's possible. And that's really about all I had. The resume looked very, very good.
Thank you.
Great. Peg, do you have questions or comments?
Actually, Chief McQuillan, you'll soon find out that I'm usually the select board member that has a whole litany of questions. But since tonight is your first night with us, and I do have my nice Grinch glass here, I'm going to give you a pass and reserve right to send the Spanish Inquisition upon you after you get settled into town and meet the team and have a chance to meet all of us and everybody else that you'll be working with. So welcome aboard.
Thank you. That seems fair enough, and I appreciate the Christmas gift. So thank you.
My pleasure.
I have great faith in Brian Duggan and Kristen's research. I have also seen your resume and I'm quite impressed. If you can't tell from my background, I'm not exactly in Massachusetts at the moment. And so you get a tiny bit of a pass, but I think only because I think everything looks really great and in order. And so, Kristen, I think you're looking for a motion at this point.
I am. So the recommendation that I am making is Mike is a sitting chief. I would recommend him as our chief, given his current position, experience, and salary requirements. That recommendation would be to hire Mike at $150, contingent upon further finalizing contract negotiations.
And I would make that motion for the board.
I'll second it.
Is there more discussion among us?
Not
Think
yet.
so. Then Hawkins, aye. I think we're ready to vote.
Keith, aye.
Stone eye.
I think we have a new fire chief. That is wonderful and great. I look forward to working with you as our new chief, and I don't know what else to say for that. It's been a nice process. I'm glad the process went as smoothly as it did.
And I assume that Chief Clark will be working with Mike for at least a short amount of time.
Yep. If I could, I was going to speak a little bit to the transition plan. So we've already begun kind of discussing how we're going to move forward. Mike obviously is going to be in the process of relocating, but he is going to be able to start Effective February 1, he will be sworn in as the fire chief. He will be on a little bit of a part-time basis through the month of February as he works to transition out of Littleton and into here. We will work with existing employees in the department to, and Mike, obviously, and to make sure that that transition is smooth. I will say that Chief Clark kindly said, if you need me, I'm there. But I said, Chief, you have given us so much. I would hate to make you stay longer. I know you would, because you are so service oriented. But I'd love to let you ride off into the sunset and enjoy your time with your grandchildren or child, and be able to do that. So I am looking forward to working with Mike and the deputy and lieutenant. We will come up with a plan for the new chief and the transition that goes with it. I'm really just excited to work together. The conversations that Brian and I have had with Mike have been great. He's very interested in the area and working with a rural population similar to ours, and does have that experience coming from where he's been up in New Hampshire. I'm just really feeling too, also just on his style, that he's going to be a great fit for the department. So thank you for your vote, and really looking forward to working with our new chief, Mike McQuillan.
Right, and
Welcome,
hopefully,
Mike.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be able to join us on January 19th for our select board coffee talk, a chance to say a few words to some of the citizens in town too.
It'll be a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Chief.
Perfect. I will plan on being there then.
Excellent,
Awesome.
excellent. All right.
Kristen, do you have any other sort of town administrator report worthy for tonight?
I really don't, just working on finalizing personnel policies. The personnel committee is meeting tomorrow evening, and I'm hoping to bring forward the final employee policy manual to the select board at your meeting on the 9th. And also start to go through budget at your meeting on the 9th. So those are the main focuses of what I've been working on, and will continue to do so for the next couple of weeks.
And then Peg and Chris, I put the TA report on the agenda just in case something else happened to come out that might be worthy of discussion through her report. I also told her I was not expecting her to have something sort of in writing for tonight's meeting.
It was basically would have been what I just said in writing,
Yep.
so.
Yeah. Are there any board member questions or liaison updates? Chris?
No, not this evening. Unfortunately, I have my brother here visiting, and so I did not get to the Council on Aging meeting today at 4 o'clock.
That is perfectly fine. Peg, do you have any questions or liaison updates?
I have two. So after the first of the year, I'll be working with, oh my God, Kristen, help me out. John from Assabet. Hang on.
Oh, yes.
John Hughes.
On the signs.
John Hughes from Assabet on signage for town offices. Was in there the other day, was having a chat with Mary and Kristen, watched this lady come up the stairs and spin around about 3 or 4 times because she didn't know where to go for the assessor's office. So it was kind of timely. So with Assabet being on vacation, I'll reach out to them when they come back. And then Kristen, question for you, was driving through the center of town, noticed that the headstones are up in the center cemetery. So I gave a listen to the cemetery commission meeting. And there was also discussion that the cemetery stones had been replaced, improved. They're just standing up. And there was talk of potentially a bill coming from this person. I know that Margaret back in August wrote a very detailed letter to cemetery outlining exactly what needed to be done, because the way that I understood it, the way that I heard it on a previous meeting, was that a gentleman was driving through from Clinton, noticed that they were down, had no experience with headstones, offered to put them up. Margaret sent out a whole litany of, insurance that needs to be done. So I was just kind of curious how that process was followed or not by cemetery for fixing of those headstones.
Okay, so that's definitely something that I can look into. I can tell you that June and I have had conversations about her process when she is actually processing invoices. And any contractors that do work on town-owned property have to have a certificate of insurance that meets certain limits. As you referenced, I'm sure that was outlined in the email. And they would have to have workers' comp. If they have employees, that would be listed on that certificate of insurance, and the town would be also listed as additionally insured. So that document would need to be submitted along with a W-9 when the invoice is submitted to show that, you know, the town has that additional insurance coverage and that the contractor has the limits that are required.
So here's a question for you. If we didn't get an estimate, how are we going to pay a bill that we really didn't know any, or potentially pay a bill that we didn't know anything about or agree to if none of this information came from the cemetery commission to probably June at the time? Either June/Margaret, or might have been waiting in the email box somewhere for you.
So my hope and sincere hope would be that it's under $10,000, because otherwise it has to go through a procurement process. So that would be problematic if it is more than that. If it is under $10,000, that is just sound business practices. Basically, any firm that's able to complete the work is eligible to do so. And then, you know, in order to make payable on that invoice, we would just have to have those documents that I mentioned. We haven't seen an invoice come through my office relative to this yet. I will certainly keep an eye out, and I can put it on accounting's radar as well.
Yeah, there was talk
Yeah.
at the meeting that there may be a bill, there may not be a bill, they don't know. So I guess I was caught a little bit by surprise that Margaret had outlined this process for things to happen, and then all of a sudden the headstones, even though it looks great, for the betterment of the town and those families that are buried there, absolutely. But, always just kind of cautious of, here's a process, no, I'm not going to follow it. Here, I'm just going to put them up anyways.
Right, and typically we would receive that certificate of insurance prior to any work being completed. So that's something I can look into.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be floored if it was over 10 grand, and that what the headstones that I've had paid to have fixed over my years, usually about $200 to $250 a headstone.
Yeah.
And that's it with sometimes some complexity, like I had one that had to be sort of glued back together, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the concern too on the certificate of insurance is, should someone get hurt,
Yep.
should anything get damaged, all of those things. So, yep, I can definitely look into that.
Awesome. All right, those are the only two that I had.
The only one I have for tonight is just a note that I continue to be approached by people concerned about the schools and the school board and both their budget and the amount of money that might cost because of some of the stuff they're going through. I don't know what our responsibility or ability is as a select board, because they're their own independent body with their own sort of spending controls. But we'll see what happens when budgets start coming.
Right, and I haven't received any additional information. I have asked that as soon as our portions become available, both of the regular budget as well as the debt assessment, that those be sent my way so that we can immediately begin looking at how this is going to fit. Obviously, as soon as I receive any information, I will send it right out to you.
Great. I think that's it for tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And seconded.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
Stone Eye.